Hi everyone, it's Amy Hamm with the New Westminster Times. I've got a fun story for you this week. I am going to tell you about the new artist in residence at our city's new media gallery, which is located in the Anvil Centre. So the new artist in residence also happens to be either the current or ex-partner of City Councillor Nadine Nakagawa. An official city email to residents on March 12th invited us all to meet the new media gallery's artist in residence. The guy's name is Ben Bogart. So this is Ben Bogart. Ben's photo caught my attention because he appears to be the prototypical far left Canadian white man who doesn't want to be a white man because white men are just so bad and icky, as per the far left narrative, of course. So in the photo, you can see Bogart has this asymmetrical, unkempt haircut, a sort of meek, apologetic half smile, a denim jean jacket covered in cutesy enameled pins of flowers, bees, butterflies, and more. He's got no undershirt on, revealing this little sliver of his hairy chest between the lapels of his denim. So the city emailed us all and described Bogart as a, quote, neurodivergent, non-binary, agender, adisciplinary artist working for 25 years with generative computational processes like physical modeling, chaotic equations, feedback systems, evolutionary algorithms, computer vision, and machine learning. They have been inspired by knowledge in the natural sciences, quantum physics, and cognitive neuroscience in the service of pursuing knowledge, end quote. So the city's website goes even further than that email, telling us that Bogart enjoys tickling various mosses and that they can eat a lemon slice, including the peel, without flinching. And if they had to be a bird, would love to be a swallow, end quote. I'm sorry, but I find this type of man hilarious. Can we drop the everything I say about my identity is a holy and sacred truth that must never be criticized facade, even for just a moment, and have a laugh? Bogart is not a 5-year-old girl, and it's patently weird and uncomfortable to be told that this grown-ass man, wanting to be taken seriously as an artist, enjoys tickling mosses and daydreaming about the type of tiny bird that he would be if he were given the choice. Look, this is ridiculous. And I refuse to be told that pointing this out, that it's ridiculous, is some kind of discriminatory human rights code violation. There is also a distinct possibility that Bogart, rather than expressing a sincere desire to tickle mosses and turn into a tiny bird, is instead trolling us all. There is only one way for a white man to game the modern left's diversity, equity, inclusion, or DEI model of awarding jobs and opportunities to only the most oppressed amongst us. And that, of course, is by identifying one's way out of being a white man, as Bogart has done. Let's have a look at the City of Vancouver's public artist page. Ben Bogart was on this page in 2016. The photo and description of him is still up. It describes him as a man using he, him pronouns, and you can see from this picture that he just looks like any other average white dude. Sure makes you think. So after I had posted about Ben Bogart on X, journalist and Quillette editor Jonathan Kay pointed out that Bogart's website has an entry in which he describes New Westminster City Councillor Nadine Nakagawa as his partner. This 2021 entry on Bogart's website describes a poster project that he did on racism, white supremacy, and settler colonialism. His website reads, quote, "As a white person, it's easy to pass the work of others, in particular BIPOC, as my own. This work did not come about in isolation. Not only did it emerge from my discourse with members of the Design Science Studio, DSS, but also through conversations on these topics in relation to the DSS with my partner, Nadine Nakagawa. The specific ideas for these works often came about during conversations about the DSS with Nadine, and the approach and language were developed in collaboration. While I maintain authorship because I have creative control of the project, it is clear that this work would be very different or may not exist at all independently of our discourse. Nadine and I attended lectures, read articles, and discussed books. It was Nadine that noted that I had fallen into the white supremacist pattern of erasure, where I kept implicit Nadine's contributions to this work. This acknowledgement is an effort to correct this erasure and expose this not as isolated work, but work happening in conversation beyond myself and the DSS. The discourse is part of a much broader conversation about colonialism, racism, and white supremacy that expands beyond the DSS, Nadine, and I. The New Westminster Times has submitted a Freedom of Information request to obtain any records pertaining to Bogart being awarded the Artist in Residence position because we question whether or not there was a conflict of interest here. Neither Nakagawa, Mayor Johnstone, nor any other councillors have responded to a request for comment on this issue. That's unfortunate, but not entirely unexpected. If anyone gave a comment, I would have expected that councillors Minhas or Fontaine, who are the city's unofficial opposition, might have done so. However, they've also been smeared by Nakagawa for sort of promoting violence against her by not adequately monitoring or moderating their social media pages when members of the public leave comments about Nakagawa. So, fine, fair, I suppose they probably don't want to weigh in at this point and add fuel to Nakagawa's fire. The New Westminster Times will update this story once we get the Freedom of Information request returned to us, and we'll let you know what we find out. In the meantime, here's what we can say about the connection between Ben Bogart, Nadine Nakagawa, and the city of New Westminster. So Nadine Nakagawa has been an elected city councillor since 2018. The first public record of Ben Bogart and Nadine Nakagawa being connected was in a 2020 music video in which both Bogart and Nakagawa are listed as production assistants. So this was a music video by artist Eden Fine Day, and the song is called White Tears Land Back. If you're interested in listening to this song, it's on YouTube. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Okay, then there was the 2021 anti-racism poster project that lists Nadine Nakagawa as Bogart's partner. So this is the main entry, and the poster project was called The Instability of Being Not Racist. Speaking for myself, I don't find it difficult or unstable not being a racist. I'm just not a racist, but whatever. Ben can speak for himself. Later in the same year, in 2021, Bogart had an exhibit on artificial intelligence at the New Media Gallery in New Westminster alongside another artist called Mario Klingman. Interesting coincidence with the timeline there again. On Bogart's resume, he notes that he has been on the New Westminster's public art roster since 2022. He remains on that art roster to this day. According to the city website, artists on this roster will be a commission for various City of New Westminster projects under $75,000 as opportunities become available. Examples of such projects may include, but is not limited to, banners, murals, artist residencies, as Bogart was awarded, social practice / community engaged projects, functional, standalone, or integrated temporary and permanent installations throughout the city. The city notes that work for the artists listed on the roster is not guaranteed. So Bogart doesn't currently have any projects on the city's current public art registry. However, their website listing all of the public works of art in the city doesn't appear up to date or entirely exhaustive. So I'm not sure if Ben Bogart has public art already out there in the city, but he is getting paid to be the artist in residence. So based on this timeline that we went over, it seems that Bogart first worked with Nakagawa in 2020. He was in an intimate relationship with her in 2021, and he developed some kind of professional connection to the city of New Westminster and the New Media Gallery in the same year. Was there a conflict of interest? We can't say at this point. It's suspicious, and we're definitely going to find out. But in the meantime, I would ask that you have a look at a few of these pieces of artwork by Ben Bogart and think about what your tax dollars are going towards. Selection of new quantum sequence based on wave structure. Here's a bit of an older computer vision art gallery. 2021 virtual due to COVID-19. It's an imagined field from the decomposition of an apparatus. It's I don't even know what to say about that, but okay. What else? Ben Bogart, a diffraction of past slash stability and present slash dynamism, a blurry streetscape photo. I don't know. Here's another recent piece of art. Work towards test print. Again, I mean, can you imagine that on a giant mural downtown New Westminster? Just some soot looking scribbles. Anyways, as we approach the July 1st property tax deadline in New Westminster, I encourage all of you to reflect upon the way that our city spends our tax dollars. Thank you.